Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at The Sisters by James Shirley. And this is one of two sessions. It's not a desperately long play, and it's coming to us from the fag end of history. To 1642, it's licensed in April, and it has a relatively short window of opportunity to be performed at the Blackfriars. And we're going to see what the text is doing. And so, yeah, we're jumping a bit further ahead of the timeline than we often do. Most videos we're doing at the moment are sort of mired in the Jacobean, but we're right at the end of the Carolinian, as it were. So we're going to see where this throws us. We've got a fairly chunky cast, but a relatively small room, so we may talk to ourselves occasionally. Just be warned. That's where we're going to be going. So reading today the prologue, Giovanni, Fabio, and at some point Frapolo is
Mark Pager. In the Midwest United States. So many character names that my mind's blanked.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. Reading Piperolo and Antonio is
Sarah in Germany.
Reading Pacheco and Vergerio is
Rachel, looking for my unmute button.
Reading Frapolo for most of the play and Paulina is
Aliki in Greece.
Reading Strozzo, Stephanio, and Angellina is
Lois in London.
Reading Rangone, Morulla, and Contarini for certainly the first half of the session is
Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm in the northwestern United States.
And reading Longino, Lucio, and first Countryman is
Helen, appropriate in Suffolk.
And I am your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading some parts later on, as and when they come up, and we'll see how that goes. But without further ado, we have a prologue, and before the prologue comes out, just to preempt the author. So take it away with the prologue, please.
Does this look like a term? I cannot tell. Our poet thinks the whole town is not well, has took some physic lately, and for fear of catching cold, dares not salute this air. But there's another reason. I hear say, London is gone to York. 'Tis a great way. Pox of the proverb, and of him say I that looked o'er Lincoln. 'Cause that was, must we be now translated north? I could rail, too, on Grammar Shipton's ghost, but 'twill not do. The town will still be flecking, and a play, though ne'er so new, will starve the second day. Upon these very hard conditions, our poet will not purchase many towns. And if you leave us too, we cannot thrive. I'll promise neither play nor poet live till ye come back. Think what you do. See what audiences we have. What company to Shakespeare comes, whose mirth did once beguile dull hours, and buskined, make even sorrow smile. So lovely were the wounds that men would say they could endure the bleeding a whole day. He has but few friends lately, think of that. He'll come no more, and others have his fate. Fletcher, the muse's darlings, and choice love of Phoebus, the delight of every grove, upon whose head the laurel grew, whose wit was the time's wonder and example yet. 'Tis within memory trees did not throng, was once the story said to Orpheus' song. Johnson, to whose name wise art did bow, and wit is only justified by honoring it. To hear whose touch, how would the learned choir with silent stoop? And when he took his lyre, Apollo dropped his lute, ashamed to see a rival to the god of harmony. We do forsake him too. We must deplore this fate, for we do know it by our door. How must this author fear them with his guilt of weakness to thrive here, where late was spilt the muse's own blood? If being but a few, you not conspire and meet more frequent too? There are not now 9 muses, and you may be kind to ours. If not, he bade me say, though while you careless kill the rest and laugh, yet he may live to write your epitaph.
And Exit prologue. This is an excellent prologue for historians, not necessarily desperately useful for a modern production, but it's full of useful, interesting things. As was discussed before we went on, Lois was pointing this out. The king has gone to York, so the court has presumably followed, and presumably also a lot of the regular playgoers at Blackfriars. And you get the impression the king's men, it's the king, he's their patron, York. It's a bit awkward that maybe that's harming their houses. New plays are not necessarily even making it to the second performance. I mean, and that's an important. The first few performances are very important for the longevity of a play. They usually give them 2 or 3 goes, unless things are really bad. But even the old plays aren't necessarily doing as well. And look, we've got some great people in our back catalogue. We could do you the greatest hits tour of all these name drops we're going to drop. Please come back. Don't leave us alone. There's this real sense of desperation to this. Any thoughts in the room? Aliki, then Lynn.
I did think I've heard people at the Edinburgh Fringe who sound a bit like that.
This is one of the premier companies in the country, and it just goes to show things are not in a good state, are they? Lynn.
It's just sort of interesting to me because I'm sort of interested in the history of the theater of this period. That he mentions 3 playwrights, 2 of whom would be possibly recognizable to the non-specialist, but nobody who's not a specialist knows who John Fletcher is. But evidently he was important enough at the time to be mentioned here. So that's sort of interesting. It's sort of interesting how fame, it's a very unpredictable phenomenon. And the way he sucks up to Johnson about how smart he was. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Well, Fletcher, of course, was resident company playwright. It's a certain logic to that. Johnson was always a bit more itinerant, so it's an interesting question on that front. Lois.
Yeah, just to say that although Fletcher may seem small beer now, I mean, those were the 3 playwrights that are always mentioned, I think, right up into the next century as the 3 great playwrights. And Fletcher is, of course, a kind of composite because he wrote with a lot of other people and tends to get a lot of things attributed to him that are actually somebody else's work, or rather the Beaumont and Fletcher pairing is credited with a lot of things. But they did, I mean, there was a huge Beaumont and Fletcher folio in 1647, and that pays tribute to them. I mean, it's got a frontispiece showing Fletcher on top of Mount Parnassus. So I mean, it's not a minor thing. The other 2 dramatists already had folio volumes, and this is one reason why they are remembered, because there were big, solid books published with their plays in them, as opposed to all the little quartos that got lost easily and used for loo paper and things like that.
And Johnson hasn't been that long dead either, and I forget when Fletcher dies. But
1625 in the play.
So he's a little further back, and whoever the other one was, even further back from that. So Johnson is the most alive of these dead people, though his career, we could argue, died considerably earlier. Discuss. Anyway, we can't. There's no point lingering on this for too long because we're probably not going to use this in a show, and I don't think anyone would. You would use it as a demonstration for a theatrical context and history, but you wouldn't use it necessarily to introduce a play that you want a general audience for. So anyway, well, let's dive into Act 1, Scene 1. Enter Frapolo, Longino, Pacheco, Rangone, Strozzo, and other banditti.
Not this last proclamation.
Nor I.
It startled me to read it.
Did you read? 'Tis a fault, Strozzo, a fault. I'll have no thief hereafter learn to read. Threaten us with long-winded proclamations. We're safe within our woods and territories, and are above his edicts. Have not we a commonwealth among ourselves, ye Tripolites? A commonwealth, a kingdom. And I am the Prince of Kivala, your sovereign chief, and you are all my subjects.
We are.
And is there one so base to change complexion because we are prescribed? I'll be no prince. I have a grudging on me, to be honest, and leave you to the fear of hemp and hunger. Have I by stratagems so oft preserved you when you were howling out your lives and led away in dog couples by rusty officers, and are you struck dead with a paper pellet? Your blood turned away because there's reward promised to bring our heads in. I renounce you, land rats.
Most excellent for Polo. They recant. Little human frailty may be pardoned.
Shall thieves, whose predecessors have been kings and conquered worlds, be factious and schismatical? I speak not for myself, but for your own sakes, whose impudence and art in valiant theft hereafter may advance you to be princes.
You have confirmed us.
You were best be rogues, and one betray another to get the base reward. Do lose your honor, live branded, and be pointed at in the street. There goes a rascal that betrayed his prince. Or cut the throat of his comrade. Aye, this will show well in the chronicles. Stand fair, you varlets, because we cannot tell whose heart is treacherous. I will examine all your physiognomies, and in whose face soever I can find a scandalous line or look that may beget suspicion of a man that will not die an honorable rebel and defy the laws, I'll shoot him presently.
Laws and those that make 'em. Conscience is a varlet. Stand fair and show complexions.
You are all valiant, honest thieve-landers, and I will be your prince again, and die with you as boldly as they dare invent.
Hang cowards.
I will not have you thieves among yourselves.
How's that, and please your excellence? Not thieves.
Not thieves to one another, but religious. There is a kind of a religion we outlaws must observe.
I never knew religion yet, and 'twill be now unseasonable to learn.
I'll be of no religion.
Who was so bold to say he would have no religion? What man is he hopes to be drunks to whore, to scape the wheels, the galleys, the gallows, and be of no religion?
He says right.
Ye shall be of what religion I please.
'Tis fit we should, for Polo is our monarch.
And yet I must consider some fit one shall become our trade and constitutions. Silence.
Nay, Prince, take time to think on't. There's no haste.
I have thought, and you shall be no pagans, Jews, nor Christians.
What then?
Every man shall be of all religions.
Oh, I like that well.
Why should I clog your conscience or confine it? Do but obey your prince, and I pronounce you shall live grandees till the state fangs catch you. And when you come unto the wheel or gibbet, bid Fico for the world and go out martyrs.
Prince.
Provided that no thief makes a confession at his death, or peach his tribe, or make a show of penitence to make the butter women melt and draw compassion from the toothless musty rabble. This will exclude all benefits of that canon, declares you martyrs for the cause.
A noise within.
Scout and discover.
Exit, Longino.
'Tis a howling voice.
What cry was that?
Re-enter, Longino.
One whose pocket has given up a ghost. And fear his body should do so. He howls of this fashion.
And they put on vizards.
Bring him to our presence.
And exit, Longino. Re-enter, Longino, with Piperolo.
Oh, gentlemen, 'tis very cold. I beseech you, do not strip my skin off. You are not sure I shall go to a fire when I go out of this world, and yet, as am, I confess I shall yield very little burned.
Knock out his brains.
Extol him.
Cut his throat.
Gentlemen, hear me. I am very sorry I had no greater son, but if you please to reprieve a poor wretch, I may do you service. And if you knew my inclination, you would not be too cruel.
To what are you inclined, sirrah?
I have been commended even for a dexterity at your felonious trade. For, gentlemen, I have been a pickpocket of a child, and have these many years been thought a pretty house thief. Marry, I have not yet breeding abroad with such deserving men, but I shall be most glad to learn. And if you please to accept me to your tribe, I have intelligence where money lies hid, and very few spirits to guard it.
Be confident and be covered.
Let him be one of us.
Be brief. Where is this treasure?
I have an old father and mother, gentlemen. Please you bestow a visit upon them. They have some goldfinches, having new sold a piece of land was given them by the rich Vincenzo, father to the famous proud Paulina, now his heir.
Yes, daughter of old Vincenzo. She's a Semiramis.
The very same. If you would visit her, I am acquainted with the house.
Well, take a time to think on her. To the point, what ready money has your father, sirrah?
'Tis but 2 days ago since he received 600 pistoles. I can direct to a cedar chest where the fine sum lies dormant.
What servants has your father?
Alas, none. They are miserable hinds and make me all the drudge. You need not fear. The court de garde. Oh, you need not fear the court de garde. If you please to let me go an honest thief's part and furnish me with a devil's complexion to hide my own, I will conduct you.
A very honest fellow.
I do not love to be ingrateful where I'm kindly used. My heart is honest.
Is he thine own father?
My own father and mother, sir. The cause would not be so natural else, and meritorious.
Precious rogue. Fit him instantly with a disguise, and let him have that face the devil wore in the last anti-mask.
Oh, it cannot be too ugly, sir, to fright them.
But if he fail in any circumstance,
'Tis not far off. I know the nearest way.
or give the least suspicion to betray you, be sure you cut his throat.
We shall.
I thank you, sir. Do you think I'll be a traitor?
Come first along with us.
Exeunt Piperolo and Longino.
You heard this fellow name the proud Paulina? Her chests are worth the riffling.
The castle is impregnable she lives in.
Was that spoke like an understanding thief? A true bandit? How I do blush for thee. Was not the orchard of the Hesperides, watched by a fierce and flaming dragon, robbed? Shall we despair to reach her golden apples? We'll make discovery of the place, and persons put it to fate. Let stars do what they please. Mercury is a stronger thief than Hercules.
And they exit. Ha ha ha! Yes, shades of late 19th century melodrama, operetta, and comedy just kept bouncing through that. Oscar Wilde, GNS, and all sorts of other things in between. Just kept it. Just the moment we said for ready money,
Yes.
immediately
Yes.
made me think of whether you could get cucumbers for it. And there are some interesting innuendos as well in here, bouncing along. Well, that was jolly, Lois.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a generic opening, except I think for the stuff about religion, and that probably has to do with the date. I mean, there was so much, because that's what the whole war was about at this point. I mean, replacing the Church of England by something else, or at any rate, modifying it. And so all that about, oh, well, we'll have a religion. What religion? Oh, I don't know. Pick your own,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of fun to be had with this. So far it's feeling very light and frothy. Other thoughts from the room? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, just talking about the code and the sort of that little nod back to vices in the sense of the wrong uns here are all sort of slightly arguing at the beginning and have to be kept in line, and you sort of see this dynamic in all sorts of things today. But yeah, it's got life. I like a bit of life. Everyone's smiling, so that's always a good sign. Any other thoughts? Does anyone really get a sense of, apart from the Pirate King, a sense of any of the other people being individual people or just additional bandits?
Oh, I don't know. I felt my character had a much more independent mind.
Okay.
It's just like, hi, who's this? What's this noise off stage? It's someone bringing the plot. Lynn.
DoorDash with the plot. Yeah. Yeah.
Lynn.
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying, yeah, DoorDash with the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, let's continue and see where the plot develops. Act 1, Scene 2. I have some thoughts, but I'll come back to those thoughts later. Act 1, Scene 2. Enter Giovanni and Stephanio.
What a brave time have we had since our old master died.
Though he were a gallant man, his daughter makes his memory burn dim, and compared to her, he lived but like a hermit in a cell. She is all magnificent, a Berenice, every hair of her head worth stellifying.
But my lady, for so we must call her, may be of kin to Lucifer for pride. How many brave gentlemen hath she despised when once their blister of love broke out and they made offer of marriage?
Antonio and Angellina pass over the stage.
Here is her sister Angellina, a virgin of another constitution. Their two natures are as different as the two poles. Our mistress cannot be so tyrannically proud as she is sweet and humble.
That's the reason her father left her only as much as would commend her to a nunnery.
Her uncle dotes upon her.
He does love her.
'Tis an old, blunt, brave fellow, but he has quite lost our gallant lady's good opinion. He is out of grace.
Because he would correct her insolence, who, obliged by her father to the care of her governor, will not tie up his counsel, which he enforces sometimes so passionately it is a sport to hear her contempt of his gravity.
Enter Paulina and Antonio.
He has met my lady. I see a quarrel in their looks already. Let us withdraw behind that lobby, we may hear and laugh securely.
Exeunt Stephanio and Giovanni.
How long have you been speechless? Am not I your uncle? Do yon look so scurvily? I do not think you are a princess yet, and therefore take the boldness to salute you without the ceremony of the petitioners that haunt your ladyship's charity. Or, if you thought me despicable, your sister has deserved your smile.
It may be so.
Buffoons that make an idol of you and can pawn their souls to flatter you should be entertained and courted to your vanity. I blush for you. Though nothing bring you into sense of honour or modesty. I have done.
It will become you. You do presume too much.
Presume? Why, are not you Paulina? Not I, Antonio, your uncle?
I do remember, sir, I called you so while you preserved your wits, and may acknowledge you again upon sober conditions and your senses perfect.
Sober conditions. Am I drunk, gypsy? What flesh is able to forbear? Struck a devil.
I did not see him in a cup.
And he has swelled thee to this monstrous pride, more than my sex besides. If thou goest on at this rate, thou wilt make Lucifer an ape. He must be thy disciple.
The old thing raves.
Thing? What thing? Thank heaven thou art a woman. I would beat thee into a poultice. When didst thou say thy prayers?
You know I keep a chaplain.
Thy soul wants desperate lancing. there's an eternal ulcer in thy heart. 10 witches cannot suck it dry. There is a bath of poison in thee.
I shall pity him. A posset, and to bed with him. His head does want the benefit of sleep. How wild the good man looks.
Thou?
The mistress of this castle, as I take it, without your legacy.
Rail upon the dead for it. Dost thou not fear thy father's ghost should haunt thee?
Never think upon him. And it was his providence to leave me an estate, to keep me from those melancholy fancies. And I will have you, my capricious uncle, know, in the circle of these my dominions, I will have no competitor.
Dominions? Was ever such an insolence? Are not you some queen concealed?
I am independent and sole regent here.
So. Where's your nobility? They are to blame not to attend.
Who waits?
Re-enter Giovanni and Stephanio.
But they do want white staves. This is not state enough.
It shall be mended. Let them be remembered.
Exeunt Giovanni and Stephanio.
She's in earnest. And if I were worthy to advise you, madam, your grace should be a little more reserved and entertain none that did treat of marriage to your private conference until they had in public received audience, like ambassadors.
I like the counsel well. It shall be so. The next that comes shall find it, my good node.
She's incorrigible. What if you commanded those that do attend your person to observe you on their knees sometimes, eh? They must be humble to your highness. I can forget my grey hair's name and blood and teach your servants duty.
The example will edify the household, and you may by fair degrees rise to our princely favour.
Enter Lucio.
The Lord Contarini is arrived at the castle.
Exit Lucio.
He comes a-wooing to me. Let it be your office, reverend uncle, to acquaint him. Our pleasure is to give him an audience tomorrow, in full state. Until when, uncle, make it your care his entertainment be such as becomes the greatness of his blood, and on one on whom the prince, we know, bestows his special grace.
Do you hear, sweet niece? Be not you transported. This is no dream. The man is no mock lord.
I'll be a princess here, as you directed. If he can humble himself to ceremony, promise him honourable access and freedom. If the conditions please him not, he may return and leave our court.
Exit Paulina.
Is this in nature? Well, I'll follow her, and if she be not past all shame and sense, I will humble or confound her.
And exit Antonio. Okay, once again, we're introduced to interesting characters who are doing interesting things, having interesting dynamics, and characters setting up other characters by saying, hey, there are some other characters, they're going to come on and do some character stuff in a moment. Shall we stand and watch? And yeah, that'll be fun. And shall we mention other characters who will just sort of walk around in the background and going, oh, that's that character we'll need to know later on. Useful stuff, playwright. It's all good, solid dramaturgy. I mean, you don't always need to innovate, you know, so long as it's entertaining, and I am entertained. I think, Sarah, you were enjoying that a lot.
I was enjoying that a vast deal, yes.
I mean, I was too, I have to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're bouncing off each other as characters really nicely. And it's also the fact that we've got things that you'd look on it on paper and say, oh, that must be an aside. No, she's just saying it to his face. He's the one who's doing the asides. And it's just so good.
Yeah, the thing about it is, I mean, obviously we can't do that. We can't do it here on Zoom, but like in my head, as we were having those exchanges, and you and I were having those exchanges, I could just see him getting more and more worked up and like swelling like a bullfrog, you know, with indignation. Yeah. I mean, you could just make it so gloriously funny on stage.
Yeah, because it's just, you know, the old thing raves. It's like, thing? Yes, Mark, I think.
I wasn't raising my hand, but I'm enjoying it.
Hmm.
I do feel like the play is maybe it feels like the play is supposed to make us feel like she is so prideful, but modern sensibilities, it just feels like she's like, yeah, I'm in charge, like shut up, uncle, which feels appropriate.
Yeah, well, I think it can be 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Actually, I think they're both insufferable in their own individual ways. I'm sure I wouldn't want to live with any of them, but it's nice to visit them. Sarah.
Yeah, we've said this before about another play or other plays, although I can't remember which ones. But just every so often, you hit one of these scenes in an early modern drama that just is so fantastically translatable to modern day. And I mean, you can absolutely see Paulina, like scrolling, doing her instas, taking selfies, and like doing massive eye rolls because she's like, I'm an influencer, I'm really. And her uncle's just like, oh my god, she's just she's like, oh god, she's so annoying, this girl, and her just giving him loads of side eye. I mean, it's just, yeah, that sort of that generational comedy thing just never grows old.
Once again we have a servant come on and go, hi, the next step of the plot's entered. He will see you in the next scene, probably. So, we know where we are, and it's not side eye when I'm saying this. All of these structural things are really good stepping stones for the audience to follow what's going on. They're setting up the next detail of the plot. Each scene is sort of nodding to the next scene. You know where you are because actually the plot isn't important, I suspect. I think the set pieces may be more important. We'll find out how that goes, but it makes sure you know exactly where you are at every moment. And I think that, if you're supposed to be having fun, worrying about why what's happening next is not what you want to be doing. It's not the work you want when you're here for fun. And I suspect we're here for fun. I could be wrong. It could be very sad. They could all die horribly. I've literally no idea what genre this is supposed to be. Don't tell me if you think you know. I'm going to go with, tragedy. I think they're all going to die.
Let's serve them right.
Yeah. How dare you be, having fun. Okay. That was Act 1. It's gone. It's gone. That was Act 1. It's past. We are now into Act 2. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Longino and Strozzo and Fabio and Morulla bound. Sorry, with Fabio and Morulla bound.
Ah, sweet gentlemen, we are very poor and have a great charge.
We do come to ease you of your charge.
Pity my age.
You must then pity our youth.
Enter Piperolo masked with 3 bags.
Here, share and share alike.
Alas, we are undone.
What shall we do with them?
If you have bound her hands and feet, you may try whether she be a witch or no. There's a pond in the backside. If she swim, so, for him...
Have some compassion, 'tis our whole estate.
I have a son, a pious child, we hear.
He will not let you want.
Alas, poor boy, he little thinks what we with care and providence laid up for him should thus be lost. Oh, pity, gentlemen.
Oh, Bo, let's away.
I begin to find a kind of compunction. Let us be charitable thieves for once.
And return half. What say you?
Not a gazette. You are not such foolish thieves. Part with present money, part with my life first.
Not to your parents?
We use them well because we do not carry their cows away. There they have cheese and butter. Bread comes by nature, and they both can glean. There's water in the well too. Not a penny, if you will be so charitable. Default from your own shares. Mine is just a thief's part. I look for thanks. Distribute your own alms. These things must be employed to better uses. Is a father and mother considerable to ready money? Oh, fie. Oh.
Then we must overrule you.
And trips up his heels.
Oh, what do you mean?
All and betray yourself at your own peril. We will be bold with your thieves' part. Come nearer.
Gives her one of the bags.
Look you, good woman, you shall not lose your thirds. Say you have met with honest thieves. This shall suffice at present. Which we but borrow neither, that you may not suspect our payment. You shall have security. This honest man bound for it, and so we leave you.
Longino and Strozzo bind Piperolo and exit.
'Tis money!
And left one of their fellows bound.
Do we not dream, wife? I dare not come near him.
They are gone. I'll see his complexion. Who is this?
Pulls off his mask.
Our own son, Piperolo?
Oh, pray, father, give me your blessing. Oh, mother, do not stone me to death with that money bag. I am your son.
My son? I know thee not.
A liar! You know mother is worse than a thief. Do not destroy the hopes of your family. Alas, I was drawn in and made a thief in my own defence. They swore to cut my throat else. Do you think I had so little grace?
Did they so? I'll try what I can do.
Draws her knife.
No, my quibbles! Sweet mother, remember you were a woman in your days, that knew what's what, and the true difference of things. I am a man yet. Your forgiveness may make me a true man. Lipping and banging are no helps to posterity. I am your own sweet flesh and blood. Ow.
They beat and kick him.
Oh!
Kick him out of doors.
Oh, I thank you. This correction may do me good. Gently, ow! Gently! Shall I not ask for your blessing a 12-month hence?
Never.
I will not. My mother has a deadly lift with her leg.
You tadpole.
Exeunt Fabio and Morulla. Morulla.
I shall do no good at this trade. Now to my wits. This is no world to starve in.
And exit Piperolo. To be honest, I really didn't see that coming. And that delights me. I mean, I'm sure in performance we can moderate some of the violence there to make sure it stays on the side of comedy. But I just find it fascinating. The parents just go, "It's our son. Beat the crap out of him." Should have done this 20 years ago. Yeah. Wow!
Great, you know.
I love the way that the land pirates just go, "I feel some compunction of this."
Yeah.
You know, we'll give you the money back and you know, and it's some interest, and he's just like
a third of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that the mother beats her son with the bag of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how nicely that's telegraphed in the line itself. So much already happening in the line telling you what the action is.
Especially also that she draws her knife. I mean, it's a knife. And from the line, "Oh my quibbles," suggests where she's pointing that knife as well.
I like to think that so as Piperolo is like begging that you know you have the mother like kind of like moderate her face a bit, put the knife away, and then start just kicking him. Like, okay, I won't stab you to death, but you have this coming.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you know, they have got good cause to be a bit angry. I mean, they've still lost money. You know, goods. You know, it's important to them. I liked his exchange. You know, we've left them cows, so they've got cheese. You know, they're not completely destitute. Lois than Alan.
Yeah, but I can't figure out. I mean, I take it that Piperolo is meant to be the clown of the play or the comic character, but he is really absolutely disgusting. I mean, you know, setting up a robbery of his own parents and being more heartless than the professional thieves, unless there's going to be another twist somewhere in this. You know, it's somebody's idea of what's funny, and it is terribly funny, but it is pretty awful.
Yes, let's not necessarily dive too deeply into the psychology. Alan, then Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, another line that's telegraphing a stage direction is Piperolo's line there. My mother had a deadly lift with her leg.
Yeah.
You know, you can just see she's taking a penalty kick at him.
Yes. Sarah.
Yeah, or a bit of a roundhouse, you know. He is absolutely appalling, this dude, but he's so funny. I'm kind of hoping that he and Paulina get together and just like fleece everybody. Like, you know, her looks, his nefariousness, they could just start like an amazing like con between them. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see, but like, yeah, he's just incredibly icky, but just really funny.
Yeah, I mean, when we had the first scene, I was sort of thinking, oh, this could turn into a heist thing about the robbery. I was expecting it to this to be a much more extended plot, and no, it's basically ended, at least in this phase. Yeah. And it's just, this is the opening gambit. Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be more, but yeah. Any other thoughts before we go into the next scene? Sarah again.
Well, yeah, just to come back on that, like, I mean, it has kind of set him up beautifully, though. It's like, we know who he is as I mean, this play's called The Sisters, so I'm not expecting him to really be the protagonist, but it's like, he kind of is so far, because this is very much like a fairy tale. We know who he is. He's a ne'er-do-well. He's done bad things. And the scene literally ends saying like, oh, to my wits, this is no world to starve in. So it's like, I'm going to go out and seek my fortune. I mean, this is how all good fairy tales start, with a sort of a bit of a rogue, going out, and if it is a fairy tale, he will end up marrying the princess.
Okay, well, let's see where this goes as we go into Act 2, Scene 2. Enter Lucio, Giovanni, and Stephanio with the promised white staves.
This is very fine. Do not these staves become us? Will my lady be thus mad, and give the Lord Contarini audience in such a state? She takes upon her like a very princess.
But is not strange her uncle should thus humour her?
He gave her the first hint, which she pursues to his vexation.
But will my lord stoop to this mockery?
He is prepared by her uncle. 'Twill be sport if she but carry it with pride enough. Let her alone.
And if my lord wants confidence...
I think her impudence will make him blush and put him out. I have seen a counterfeit with such a majesty compose himself, he thought himself a prince. Could frown as scornfully, and give his hand out to great lords to kiss, with as much grace as all the royal blood had mustered in his veins.
Some monarch of Inns of Court in England, sure. But when his reign expires, and Christmas in his grave, cold as the turkeys coffined up in crust, that walk like ghosts and glide to several tables, when instruments are hoarse with sitting up, when the gay triumph ceases, and the treasure divided, all the offices laid up, and the new clothes in lavender, what then?
Why, then the man that kissed his highness hand or night may jostle him for the wall next morning, and have it too, if he come off with all his wits. The play is paid for, and he fit for travel.
Enter Contarini, Antonio, and Vergerio. They whisper.
My lady's uncle, and the Lord Contarini.
My Lord Contarini expects when he may have the happiness to present his service to your great lady.
We shall, sir, acquaint her.
Your office, sir?
Her steward.
And yours, I pray?
Mine, treasurer.
Mine, controller.
I kiss your hands. This may be worth my lord's curiosity.
For the mirth's sake, my lord, be pleased. You may do an act of charity and restore her senses. I'll wait on you again.
Exit Antonio.
Now, Vergerio.
The expectation is increased. Her officers observe the state. Were your affections earnest, and I, my lord, your mistress, I should trust her pride.
Unless she ravish me.
And re-enter Antonio.
Sorry. She's upon entrance. Her madness holds. Your confidence may convert her. She's my niece, and I am sorry for it.
Flourish. Enter Paulina, attended in state, Angellina, and ladies.
Give him access.
What lady's that stands on her right side?
Her younger sister, that does vex me as much with her humility as the other with her impudence.
An excellent piece, Vergerio.
Which, my lord?
Madam, the glory of your time and nation, whose looks do shine with majesty and shoot a flame to undo the admirer. Oh, call in some beams that wait upon the thrones of light, or I shall fall your sacrifice, and not finish what my great master gave me in charge.
Prince in mind to herself.
Not impossible.
Speak on, my lord.
Gypsy! She does believe the lightning of her eye will blast indeed. Oh, how scornfully she squinnies.
I come from the great sovereign of hearts, whose glorious monarchy, uncircumscribed, extends to all the habitable world, wherever land or lover stretched his arm, whose sceptre, not like that of common kings, but a bright golden shaft feathered with sighs and headed with a flame, which finds access, like subtle lightning, to the most secure and stubborn cell that ever yet enclosed a human thought.
He flies high.
'Tis his arrow.
Speak this great name.
The most immortal Prince of Love.
A high and mighty prince indeed.
Which is not our Prince of Parma, then.
Unto your beauty, madam, that makes sweet the breath of fame, in his name I am sent to offer up a servant, rich with wonder, and humble thoughts that honor you. Who can see those perfections and not adore the divine owner? Brightness that offends the innocent eye that gazes is in you the cure of blindness. And the films that hang upon the humbled sight fell off and vanish, that it may take new life and light from you.
Is she not yet ridiculous to herself?
I can leave Cupid's court to live with you, and all those bowers where an eternal spring makes every flower in love with its own beauty, the wind whose every wings convey all sweetness that sense can entertain. I would exchange but to hear your breath, and think there dwells a harmony in your voice above the airs of all those charming birds by love selected from every wood to be his choir. I fear I am too bold, and may be thought to wander. If, madam, you accept my amorous vows, which live yet in the weak expression of him that honors you, time will produce a white and fortunate hour to crown our loves with a nuptial happiness.
You have relation to the court of Parma? Your name, Lord Contarini? You have no message from your master?
Madam, your flame hath filled his court, and he presents by me his princely wishes of your happiness. And should he see your person, like mine, his heart, I fear, would melt into a stream of love and admiration.
So we accept in good part greeting from the prince, but you have no commission to treat for him. The substance of your own affair will ask our pause. We will take time to answer, which, till you receive, you may command our court.
Exeunt Paulina and attendants.
Proud folly!
Oh, prodigious impudence!
What think you, signor?
I am confined. I'll to her again.
Exit Antonio.
When shall I awake? This sure is but a dream. The gentleman cannot so much mistake his time and language.
I came with curiosity to see her pride, so talked of, but my heart, I feel, is taken with an object of true sweetness. Is not a lovely figure? Say, Vergerio.
Let her mind answer that fair proportion, my lord. She is worth love. But being sister to a woman of such pride.
I prithee leave me.
She's very beautiful. My lord is taken.
Exit Vergerio.
Lady, there's but a story of your births but that there's a story of your births, I should make judgment by your modest face. This arrogant woman could not be your sister.
Sir, if your expectation be not answered with her full worth, I shall beseech you name her with less disgrace. Our blood so near, it cannot be grateful to my ear to hear her blemishes.
I was prepared before to meet this goodness. These words and looks became that innocent spring from whence they flow. Virtue hath each an army about your heart. There's nothing can approach ill to betray it, or proceed from you, but warranted by honor.
I know not, but sure, my lord, you talk too fine a language for me to understand. We are far from court, where, though you may speak truth, you clothe it with such trim and gay apparel. We, that only know her in plainness and simplicity, cannot tell how to trust our ears, or know when men dissemble.
By your own love to truth, you must believe me when I say, although it took beginning from this visit, I love no beauty but yourself.
You said you loved my sister, and expressed your passion in such mighty phrase and fancy, I thought your soul had made a business on't. Pardon the weakness of my faith if I dare not believe this change.
Your sister, lady, I came to visit, not affect. I heard and had a purpose but to try how near the wonder of her pride, pardon, sweet virgin, came to a truth, nor did I court with her the language of a meaning lover, but, prepared by your uncle, meant to make her see her miserable folly. I dare not present such mockeries to you. Suspect not this hasty address. By your fair self, I love you.
My lord, if I believed this real courtship, I should not entertain your honor with a fruitless expectation, but declare, besides my want of fortune, beauty, birth to make me worth your love, I am already contracted by my father to religion, whose will I cheerfully obey, and wait when my good uncle will dispose me to a nunnery.
A nunnery?
Where, for so great an honor you pretend to me, a most unworthy maid, I'll offer up my prayers, that you may choose a heart more equal to your own love and greatness.
And re-enter Antonio, Paulina, and servants.
Nay, you must not leave me so. We are interrupted. You may trust me, fair one, with a nearer confidence.
Exeunt Contarini and Angellina.
Alas, poor old man.
The old man, before your borrowed ladyship, is bold to keep his head warm and to tell you you are a puppet. Take that to your titles of honour.
So, sir, none restrain his insolence?
I'll make him swallow down his staff of office that stirs. I have not done. Canst be so impudent to think his lordship does not laugh at thee? Your eyes the thrones of light, a brace of lanthorns in which two snuffs of candle close to the socket appear like fire-drakes and will serve to light a traveller into a ditch. You, madam, majesty and the glory of a nation, thou art a disease to honour modesty, a fever in thy father's blood, a gangrene upon his name, a pox upon thee for it. There's one disease more, yet I have not done.
My charity may invite, if these fits hold, some close provision for you among madmen. I do command you leave my house.
I will not. I'll fire the house. Dost hear? Thou wilt burn well. Thou'st oil enough about thy face and all thy body pitch, very combustibles. But I'll not be damned for thee, now I think on it. But I'll not be damned for thee, now I think on it. And since no counsel will prevail, I'll save myself. Before I go, give but a reason why thou dost slight this gallant lord and squint, as if he were groom or footman.
I'll tell you. You would have the truth.
If thou canst speak any.
I do esteem myself more equal for his master.
Who? The prince?
No, the blind prince of love. You are wise, uncle, but I am out of poetry.
I think I were best cut off thy head and save the laws of labour. There's no talking to her.
I am of your mind, uncle. You may edify your charge, my younger sister. She's not proud. Pray take her with you. She'll become the cloister. Go and be mortified together. Take her, I'm weary of her.
And I of thee. She shall be further off too, thou'lt infect her. Although her foolish father, yet he was my brother, I have not power to speak well of the dead, gave thee his whole estate. I have a fortune. Dost thou hear? I have. And to vex thee, thy sister shall have that. I'll see, and I can make her proud, I'll do it. She shall have servants, suitors, fiddlers, flatterers, fine clothes, and all the food that can provoke to glorify her sense. I have bags to spare. She shall not to a nunnery. To vex thee, I say again, she shall not. Well, have humours. The t'other pox upon thee, and farewell.
Exit Antonio.
I fear he's mad indeed. Let me have music. This talk has made me melancholy.
Exit Paulina for music, and if it is in Blackfriars, there might in fact be some music there as a bit of interval candle trimming moment there. So, okay, yeah. Intervention time. You're not going to a nunnery. Thoughts from the room. It was like, oh, suddenly people were being earnest. I wasn't sure I was happy about that. Lynn.
No, but that was really fun, and Sarah and Aliki, especially considering this is on the fly, did such a great job. Like, yeah. Antonio, he's just feeding. He's just meant to be tied, and Paulina, she's just like. I'm sure she's pretty and she's got but I mean, come on, you're not all that, you know? And they just can't, and yeah, I'll show you. I'll make your sister my aunt just to piss you off. You know, it's like I should cut off your head, save the law of labor. Some of it is really, it's just really kind of delightful. I laughed.
Yeah, how are we feeling the Contarini and Angellina match here? Thoughts on that? As I say, that's where I was sort of going, oh, it's like they're doing something seriously for a moment. Give me comedy, please. I'll go to Sarah, then Lynn.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always a problem. Like, well, there's not a problem. There's always a trap that you can fall into with these characters. That they come across. We were having this conversation yesterday, actually. That they come across as quite anodyne and, like just a bit annoying. But I think actually, you could make Angellina just a really kind of, nice, not prissy or anodyne, but just a really kind of, good, sensible, nice woman, who just happens to be really beautiful. But, she wants to go and be a nun. And fair enough, if she wants to go and be a nun, let her go and be a nun. She's just maybe just wants to go and sit and have a bit of quiet so she can do some reading, I think, yeah, there's always this, especially when the other characters are so funny. It's hard to be the straight character in that situation. But I think you could make her fun. And Contarini, I'm not entirely sure. Like, I mean, he's just kind of seen her and gone, oh my God, you're so beautiful. I'm in love with you already. I mean, that's just a bit daft. I kind of hope she does get to go to a nunnery, actually. I hope she doesn't end up marrying him. She probably will. But
he seems like a perfectly nice... It's not
he
like
seems fine.
He seems fine. I mean, okay, their visit is a bit suspect because it's it's not like they've visited for necessarily wholly good reasons. But Lois.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite clear what Contarini's doing there. I mean, he's not really serious at all about wooing Paulina, either for himself or I think for his master. And what's he doing there in the first place?
I think he's just been given the nod that this is a very silly household. That seems to be what their expectation is, actually.
Yeah, so he's there for a joke, and then he falls in love with Angellina, maybe. I think the thing about Angellina is that since Antonio says right at the end he's going to see if he can make her proud by giving her all the luxuries that Paulina has. Presumably, she's got to seem pretty mild and innocent here, because otherwise, if she is going to contrast with, if we're going to get a contrast with her later behavior, then it needs to be a contrast.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we attempt to get into Act 3? Aliki.
I had been assuming in reading her that Paulina was being funny when she kept saying her uncle was mad, that she was deliberately condescending to him and sort of. But if she genuinely thinks that the blind lord of love, that is presumably Eros, Cupid, is her equal, or she doesn't recognize that it's a reference to Cupid, then she's stupid.
Yeah.
So I've been playing her wrong, basically, and that makes it a different character.
Well, I think there is room for manoeuvre there in production. I mean, also maybe we're misjudging what Angelina's doing there. Maybe she knows exactly what she's doing when saying, "Yes, I'm going to go to a nunnery."
Yeah, unless somebody stops it. Would you like to?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, because I am so virtuous. Look how good that looks on the marriage market, etc., etc. Alan.
I just get the feeling that Paulina is feels that she's incredibly entitled to basically do what the hell she likes, and the rest of the world can cooperate with her or go fish.
I mean, it's a gambit. Is it a knowing gambit, or is it just how she's grown up? Because sometimes if you act that way, you can get what you want because everybody sort of gives in to you. And maybe she's learnt that behaviour, or maybe she just genuinely thinks this is what I deserve because I'm worth it. Lynn.
Yeah, I think it's not how she was raised. The servants say something in their first appearance about her late father. They say something about him, if I remember right. It gave me the impression that he was a reasonable kind of fellow. But the minute he's gone, and left his daughter quite well fixed, it's just like the stops are off, and she's like, she's gonna go nuts because she can. Maybe he's really been kind of a strict father, and she's been controlled and disciplined and made to live kind of austerely her whole life, and all she's wanted to do is like take all this money and spend it and live and live with it. So I think it's more of a rebellion thing than this is the way she's always been. But whatever. I'm getting too psychological for a play like this, really.
Yes, I mean there is a case of we kind of just need to decide what's going to get the best laughs and sort of go from there. And that's not to say that people shouldn't have interiority, but I suspect the amount of interiority is probably not a lot. Or and if or more importantly, if it gets in the way of getting the next laugh, because I feel we're just here to mine this for opportunities to get audience response. I mean, there's a big audience response possibility as well for someone going, I'm going to go to a nunnery. Oh, what? That could be, that actually needs to almost come out of the blue. Actually, that's not actually. It's not that she's wandering around cosplaying a nun all the way through the first half. It needs to come from somewhere, because that's a really good opportunity there for. Okay, Alan.
I'm just wondering, there do seem to be an awful lot of potential double entendre in this, and I just wonder whether that was part of the rubric of any Blackfriars play, because.
Well, it's not a boys' company play, so
no. But I almost wonder if it was built into the woodwork.
I think just double entendres in a comedy are pretty much probably de rigueur in that sense. I think might be thinking too much on that front. Aliki.
So, if I understand the plot correctly, all the money went to Paulina, and she's not going to do anything for her sister in terms of dowry or whatever. So her sister kind of has to go to a nunnery. That's the deal. But then the uncle gets so angry at Paulina that he says, nope, forget it. I have a fortune too. It'll all go to her. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, this next scene is going to be a little crowded and dancing around. Lynn, are you still with us, or are you disappearing? Just before
I've got to go in like 5 minutes.
Okay, so just when you disappear, I'll take over whatever part you're reading. For this scene, Mark is now taking over Frapolo because of clashes, and I'm sure we're going to talk to ourselves at some point, so hopefully all will be fine. We'll see how it goes. Trying to do several things at the same time, just moving some tabs around so that I can make things flow. Okay, Act 3, Scene 1. Enter Lucio and Piperolo.
For thy mother's sake, thou shalt be entertained.
An under-butler would fit me rarely. There's none in the house that shall be sooner drunk nor oftener, for my lady's credit, sir.
Can you write?
And read in print, sir.
Art thou faithful? May a man trust thee?
For more than I'll speak on. Trusted? I was bound for 2 gentlemen lately that could not take up 500 pistoles upon other security. My father and mother knows it. I shall never endure a thief for a thing that I know. Alas, you know, I am a neighbour's child. My mother was your good lady's nurse.
Do not I know thy mother?
Better it may be than I know my father.
Till some office fall in the house, you should serve me and ride with me to receive my lady's rents.
Enter Giovanni.
Master Steward, yonder are the rarest fellows, and such fantastical habits too. They call themselves mathematicians.
What do they come for?
To offer their service to my lady, and tell fortunes.
Have they no chief?
Yea, a quaint philosophical fellow. They call him a Chaldean, a great scholar. They do not come for money, like your starch-faced Egyptians, but carry things for the credit of the mathematics honorably. My lady hath given the Chaldean her nativity, who is to consult with the ephemerids and give account how the stars will dispose of her.
We shall know all our fortunes then.
The worst of his train can decipher hands, tell foreheads.
And noses?
One, at the first sights, did but whisper to my lady's gentlewoman, and she did so blush through her Tiffany.
Oh, that's no great matter. I have seen one blush through a plaster of Paris.
How's that?
A kind of French painting, sir.
Well said, Piperolo. I have entertained him. But my lady...
Enter Paulina, Stephanio, and ladies.
The Chaldean pleases me. I long to hear my fortune. If it be good, he will have a reward to cherish his great art, and worth my bounty. What if my stars should frown? Didst bid them follow?
They are all ready, madam.
Music plays within.
Musical knaves.
Enter Longino, Rangone, Pacheco, Strozzo in fantastic disguises, and someone sings a song. Who wants to volunteer? Because there's no indication particularly who's singing it. They're all singing it, presumably. So who's one of those knaves? Okay, they sing, beauty and the various graces that adorn the sweetest faces, here take their glorious throne. May he, that is the god of archery, never aim one angry dart, but soft and gentle as your heart, court it with flame and rich perfume, to light and sweeten, not consume.
Not the Chaldean come yet? My thoughts are inflamed with fierce desire to know my destiny. You have skill, gentlemen, but I'll expect the judgment of your master on my fate when the great man of art returns. Acquaint me?
And exeunt Paulina and ladies.
Come, my friends, let's lose no time. Sir?
Before you, to the extent of my art, signor.
If it please you, let me peruse your hand.
'Tis at your service.
Oh, please you to examine my palm. Can you tell me, learned sir, what is past?
You know that already.
'Twill be a satisfaction to me if you can make it appear that you know something in that point.
A fracture in the mercurial line and the Mount of Saturn ill-charactered. You are near a misfortune, sir.
Strozzo picks Stephanio's pocket.
Jupiter's mount is well formed and colored, a cross conspicuous, the sun's mount well figured, and linea solis, without any intersection.
Your judgment upon that, sir?
Enter Antonio.
More antics yet? What nation have we here? Fortune flingers?
You shall know yours immediately.
A house is open for these mountebanks, cheaters and tumblers that can foist and flatter my Lady Gewgaw. Every office open when poor men that have worth and wanton arms may perish ere they pass the porter's lodge. What are you, sir?
One of the mathematicians, noble signor.
Mathematicians! Mongrel! How durst thou take that learned name upon thee? You are one of those knaves that stroll the country and live by picking worms out of fools' fingers.
And something out of your trunks, my Reverend Cato.
And picks his pocket.
How busy the rascals are! How the rogues stink! I'll send your regiment a quartermaster.
Exit Antonio.
Now to my other gamester.
You have been,
What, sir?
in your ear, a thief.
He has a devil. Good sir, not too loud.
And you shall be.
Hanged, I warrant you.
Paulina, I believe.
Sorry. Let me see the other hand.
Shall it escape with burning?
You shall be a lord.
A lord?
Yes, a lord infallibly.
You shall be a knight, sir.
Of the thieves' order, and wear my rich collar of hemp, it's not so?
An honourable knight, upon my word.
A lord? Pray give your opinion. Your hand. You shall be a right worshipful. One of your tribe told me I should be a lord.
And shall be used accordingly. Lords are transitory.
And picks Lucio's pocket.
Let me see t'other hand. Oh, marry, sir, this line clears the doubt and marks you right honourable, which makes up t'other half of your fortune, signor. These two parallel lines, from the dexter angle to the Mount of Sol, have made it all plain. You must be a lord.
He has given you a very good reason, sir. A man can have but half his fortune in one hand, and two right worshipfuls make up one right honourable. These are rare fellows. I am predestinate to be a knight. The stars may do their pleasure. I obey. Oh, this should be the Chaldean.
Enter Frapolo, newly regenerated, and Castruccio.
I've nearly observed the castle and where the treasure lies. I know my lady in honor will entertain us this night, and when they are asleep we'll take our opportunity to rifle her exchequer, boys. Meantime, let me alone to humor her proud nature. I will so claw her ambition.
Trim, I'll put a question to his astrology. Sir, if you please, till my lady return, to satisfy her steward and oblige him by your art, one of your under-mathematics has given me a comfortable destiny.
Your hands, where were you born?
I know not, sir.
Oh, a lord.
No matter. Venus, in the ascendant with soul, being lady of your seventh... With Jupiter, designs you to be a lord.
They all agree, the miracle of learning. One question more, I beseech you, sir. I'm to ride with my man to receive my lady's rent tomorrow through the forest.
Go to.
Now, I desire to know whether we shall be robbed in our return or no.
What time do you think precisely to come back, sir? For we should know the very minute.
The money is ready, sir, and we do purpose in your ear.
Yes, you shall be robbed. There's nothing in nature to prevent it.
Will they kill us and please you?
No, they shall not kill you. They shall only take your money and break your pate. That will be all.
Why, let them rob us, sir. The loss of our money will be an evidence of our preferment, and you may have more assurance to be a lord and I of my knighthood. My lady, sir.
Enter Paulina attended.
Madam, the stars shine with their full beams upon you, who by me, their interpreter, salute you with a glorious fortune. For Leo is lord of your horoscope in the right angle of heaven, and a royal fixed star called Regulus, or the lion's heart, culminating with him, and a natural reception between Mars and Sol, lord of the 10th, being in the first with Mercury and Venus in the house of honor, besides a conjunction of Jupiter and Luna and Pisces. In the house of marriage, I must give judgment.
I shall beseech you, clearer language.
You shall be married to a prince. It is inevitable.
A prince?
May not I come to be a lord then?
And I a knight.
When shall I see him?
He shall within few days visit your castle, drawn hither with the fame of your person and bravery. I need not instruct you to entertain him with state and ceremony becoming his excellence. But if he court you not into his arms, I will renounce the stars and say there is no truth in astrology.
How my thoughts swell already.
She has swallowed it.
Give him 500 pistolets.
Do not wrong so much one that does honor you. As I bribe not the stars to tell me their decrees, I dare not for money sell their secrets. And if any that have relation to me presume to take a Julio...
By no means, madam.
I like it that no mercenary ends guide them to flatter me.
A drum afar off.
It's not that a march.
Exit Longino.
If it entrench not too far upon your art, this prince, sir, has a name?
And rules his province. Farnese is a bachelor.
Prince of Parma, my blood refines in every vein already. Dull, heavy souls that are content to trudge in humble thoughts.
Re-enter Longino.
I fear we are betrayed. The country's up and marching to the castle. We may all be all surprised. Let us to horse.
Exit Longino.
Deny not, sir, this night an entertainment, such as my castle yields. It shall not spread to receive guests more welcome.
Drum again.
A drum, madam.
Exit Lucio. Oh, we must not stay and rob the must we not stay and rob the house tonight?
Madam, my art foretells I cannot be safe to remain here. At my return, I will not balk your castle. In the meantime, cherish high thoughts. Your stars do call you princess, so kissing your fair hand.
Make me not so unhappy.
There is no dispute with destiny. I take my humble leave. Away, Tors!
And exit Bandity.
This more amazeth me. What danger should provoke this haste? If it prove their concernment, I must believe they do converse with fate and trust to them as oracles. Princess, was not my soul prophetical?
Re-enter Lucio.
Madam, some accident hath raised your tenants. You march in fury this way, in strange postures, and arms as if they came to storm the castle.
Re-enter Piperolo.
Madam, we are all undone. The clubs are up. Your tenants are turned rebels, and by this time entered the hall and threatened to surprise I know not whom. But the Calgian and his troop are vanished. They foresaw this tempest.
What should this mean?
Enter a rabble of countrymen armed.
Come on, you men in lusty chine. Dear lady, be not affrighted. Captain of thy guard am I, thy natural tenant and thy vassal. Where be these sunburnt Ethiopians? I will not leave one canting rogue alive.
What Ethiopians? What canting rogues? Do not your clownships know me?
Now, our princess, we honour thee and rise in thy defence. Where be these thieves? We heard there were a regiment that came to cheat and plunder.
You are a knot of knaves and fools, and shall repent this insolence. You that command in chief, good Captain Bumbard, may teach your ragamuffins face about. Was it your stratagem to fright my guests?
Your uncle told us, madam, and commanded.
Was it his plot? He's still my enemy.
Pardon us, madam. We came simply ever to do you service.
Kneels.
Or we shall all be stripped out of our tenements.
All the countrymen kneel.
My uncle has abused you. but this submission takes our anger off. Continue dutiful to my commands, and you shall be remembered. Piperolo?
I know the buttery, madam. Follow me. It is my lady's pleasure you be drunk, and thank her grace you keep your copyholds. Do you bring up the rear? I'll march in front.
And they exit. Obviously, with some dramaturgy work to be done to trim out all the Ethiopian and the sunburnt stuff, which is very much this period, but adds is not even really a discussion point. It's just so that can all be trimmed out. But the basic nature, and I said earlier, are we going to get a heist? We're moving back towards a heist plot. I want a heist. I really want an early modern heist. We've got con men. We haven't really had that much in the way of heist movies, and I do want one. I want there to be a montage of them planning the raid and things, but I doubt we'll get that. But there is a lot to enjoy in this with those minor adjustments. The pickpocketing sequence must be quite complicated and busy, and there's a lot of fun to be had out of that. The way I just whispering, what was the it's going to be a lord. Oh right, you will be a lord, and then just the whole thing of the really good bit when it's just going, shall we be robbed? Could you tell me the precise time and location where your money will be?
Yes, you will be robbed at that very minute.
You will definitely be robbed, which is an interesting way of doing the gambit, actually. I'd be tempted to just say, no, you will be perfectly safe. But yeah, the rogues have turned up, and and then the drummer far off, I'd forgotten the promise of Antonio earlier, and so I was a bit hang on, is there a rebellion? What's this random subplot? But no, it's just Antonio has just called out the watch. So yeah, there's lots of really interesting little bits in there. Thoughts on the room, Lois, then Alan, and then Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Piperolo, who's obviously not a fool, asks them to tell him what happened in his past, which is a very good idea because obviously that's where something he's got a chance to check on. The only trouble is they know what happened in his past, so they can tell him. Yeah. So it fools them. The other thing that strikes me about this is that, the bit about Ethiopians is probably because they're thought of as gypsies or Egyptians. I mean, they probably have put color on their faces to disguise themselves. But I think this also is, they may well be using the costumes from the Mask of Gypsies Metamorphosed, if they've still got them around. I mean, that was a hugely successful mask that was actually done, I think, 3 times, and that involved fortune telling by gypsies, and the Duke of Buckingham was in it. In fact, actually acted in it, which was something very unusual for the period. I mean, normally it was just professionals who played speaking roles. But anyway, I mean, that would have been quite a long time before them. But anyway, it sort of harks back to that, I think.
Alan?
Yeah, I must admit, I've been trying to work out what size the original company would have been for this, because it must have been quite considerable, because, I mean, some of us there were on 2 and 3 parts just for that one scene. So there's obviously, they had plenty of bodies still on the staff, despite the fact the audience had all done a runner, as they moaned about the prologue.
Well, no, it's about a standard size cast, because there aren't, in a sense, you've got the 2 plot lines that this is the first time they've actually interacted, as it were. But no, I don't think it's not massively over the top. It's more than I'd like. I mean, I have to say, I'm trying to figure out a way of reducing, and I don't think you can. I think you just have to embrace that this requires a fair number of bodies, because, for example, if you reduce the number of bandits, then the pickpocketing scene won't flow in the way it should do. It should be all the people are out and they're going around and they're doing the thing and they're doing the distraction. It should be an incredibly complicated bit of choreography for that to really land, and that's why it's so loaded with potential, actually, in rehearsal, to get every single bit, and at least one member of the cast should be almost stripped naked by the end of that scene. It should be a case, not everybody, but I do think that there should be a sort of gradated bit of thievery there, which would be quite enjoyable. Sarah, then Aliki.
Yeah, I was gonna just say I'm asking this question because I'm not entirely sure if I've understood this correctly. Is there a heist and a con being planned at the same time? Because obviously they're setting up a heist, they're going to come and rob them. But then all that business with Frapolo talking to Paulina and saying you're going to be married to a prince, and then he says to her somewhere, "Oh, she swallowed it." So like, was that just in order for him to get the money out of her for giving her such good news, or is he actually planning to come back and like pretend to be the prince and like con her again? Like, I got the distinct impression he was like setting her up for more there.
Yeah, it's unclear at this precise moment in time where that's going, beyond just generally telling everybody that they're going to marry a prince or become a knight, or what they clearly know they want them to say.
Yeah, true.
And they're talking about robbing the house in a very general sense. That I don't think there's a sense they've got a plan yet. Obviously, they've got a rendezvous to rob some people. That's all organised.
So the swallowing it was literally just sort of setting up for the heist, for the
well, I'd say
robbery.
just generally that she swallowed the lie that I've just said. I mean,
and it's given him,
but that's not to
money.
say isn't about to go into a plot. I just don't know at this stage because this is as far as I've read. So who knows? Aliki.
Yeah, the impression I got was that they were planning to spend the night and rob her blind then. And then the mob of peasants arrived ready to dispense justice. I also think, I put it in the chat, but I also think there's a misattributed line there, because Paulina suddenly speaks out of nowhere when she exited 20 lines before and doesn't come back in until 10 lines later. I think that must have been a Piperolo.
Yeah, I will look into that.
Okay.
Other thoughts, Lois?
Well, just that I think it's got to the point where now every time we hear that there are some shepherds at the door, we're going to know perfectly well who they are.
Yes, that wasn't a surprise, was it? Other thoughts on this scene? There's again, loaded with potential, which is I like. Especially with a comedy, I do like to spend a lot of time just going, what is the maximum number of laughs I can get out of this situation, and it is loaded with lots of nice potential. I'm sure there will be possibilities of more. Yes, that line is curious, isn't it? But it can't be Piperolo because he's already talking either side of the line.
What's the line?
No, it's all right. We'll worry about it later. It's really not what the videos are for. But I have marked it as a curious line. Could be Frapolo. It could be. Anyway, we'll come back to that another time. Any other thoughts to throw into the mix before I go into final thoughts? No. Okay. Well, Mark, yes.
I was gonna say, the amount of rehearsal time that just this one scene would take, and a lot of the other scenes probably don't need that much rehearsal time, but like it feels like this is where you gotta really put your energy as a production into making this scene work.
Well, we've got the fight choreography for the the parents. I think there's an awful lot of actual stuff to go with Paulina and her appearances. I mean, it's almost into pantomime territory of just more extravagant and silly every time she appears. That doesn't necessarily mean a lot of rehearsal, but I think it requires a lot of oomph behind the show. I mean, what I like about this is it's not a very long play. I mean, it'll be a solid 2 hours or something as it stands, with some cuts and some minor adjustments. That's probably going to go down a bit, but for a comedy, that's really good. It's got a nice tight running. It's tight. This is a really tight play. And having recently done some quite long plays, it's actually quite refreshing to have something that's just doing a payload of entertainment. And I think that there is an audience for a payload of entertainment that we should not ignore. Other thoughts before I go round the room? Looks like I'm doing that now. So, final thoughts. We've got the first half of the play. I'm enjoying it. There aren't many things to do. Some minor dramaturgical work to that last scene. and maybe a few cuts or a few possible topical references I might want to just quietly snip away, keep it nice and general. But otherwise, a lot of rehearsal, but it will pay off. And I think it lands really well. Okay. I don't think it's going to use up resources, though. This is a resource-heavy comedy. And, of course, there's always the possibility it could all die in our hands in the final session. So, Mark, any final thoughts?
It's good. I mean, yeah, the thieves are funny, and they get to, really be funny in this scene that we just did. So, I'm hoping it keeps itself together in the end.
Yeah, and and there's the one disadvantage of it being quite short is, of course, you don't get that many scenes with anyone because it's you get one with the A plot and one with the B plot, and then they all come together in this scene, and it's like two each so far, one per act, and so yeah, in a sense, I'd like a bit more with these characters, but hey, you get what you get. Rachel, any final thoughts?
I think it's good fun. I think, despite your concerns about genre, I think we're well in comedy territory. I expect a marriage ending by the end of tomorrow.
They could still all die.
I suppose. You can hope, I suppose. But I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
Yeah. Alan, any final thoughts?
Well, I'm hoping it turns out as a comedy, but in the sense of a bundle of laughs rather than necessarily the marriage ending. I think there's probably almost as much fun you could take out of it if it doesn't end in that way. And to a certain extent, I'm waiting for Paulina to get her comeuppance, because she really does seem to me to be the spoilt brat from hell, who's cruising for bruising.
But maybe she will learn by the end of the play. Maybe she will have developed. And also, maybe she'll enter a nunnery. We have had a play before where someone's supposed to go into a nunnery and then talks the dissolute one round and goes, hey, maybe you should join me too. And off they go and they happily become nuns. So, if we feel that's the ending we want, we've got the material from another play. We could do that if we so wanted to. That would be absolutely fun. And then we could have nuns on the run. And that's where we end up. Lois, any final thoughts?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm enjoying this too. It's all satisfyingly familiar. I mean, it's really kind of pantomime fairy tale territory with the good sister and the bad sister and the comic bandits and so on. I think if it carries on like this, I'm sure an audience would love it. You could also do quite a bit with spectacle. I mean, that last scene, involves a song as well as the business with the telling fortunes and robbing people. So I think it could be a bit of a spectacle too.
Yeah, I have to say, there's part of me thinking it would be great if at the end of a long run of somebody's pantomime, say, could we just borrow everybody and your sets and just do one night of this?
Yes.
You could. I don't actually see it as that spangly, but as a show. But you could work it that way. Aliki, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was gratified to hear both you and Lois mention pantomime, because that was the thought I was having as well, that it would go with the very broad characterizations and physical comedy of pantomime. And I mean, unless it goes horribly wrong next session, I think you've got a surefire crowd pleaser here. This is a play that audiences will enjoy with very, very little work done to the text.
And I think that's shown very much by that first couple of scenes where we were just going, it's GNS, it's Oscar Wilde, it's this. We're recognizing the footprints of this through history in terms of comedy action. I mean, nobody's mentioned Restoration comedy either. I mean, I'd go a little later than that. It doesn't have the darkness of Restoration comedy, but it's sort of got that comedy of manners feel to it for later things. It's got a lightness to it. There's almost no malice in this, actually. Yes, people are laughing at people, but they're not laughing in a Johnsonian masterly kind of way of look at these awful people. They're just going, look at these silly people. They're a bit silly, aren't they? Yeah, I can get down with that. Sarah, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny you say comedy of manners because when you were talking earlier about that nunnery line, I was hearing it in my head of like, I'm going to a nunnery. What? And it was like I could hear it as like an old cow, like Noel Coward dialogue, and obviously you couldn't play it as an old Coward play because the characters aren't right, but it just does have that kind of witty quality to the dialogue. The dialogue's also really beautifully naturalistically written, I was reading what was he called, Piperolo, whatever he was called, and just when he was being beaten, Aliki said it at the time, but I was reading it cold, but it was just all there in the dialogue. You could sort of, as you were going along, it's like, oh, okay, he's been hit, right? Literally as I was reading, it was just, there was so much there for the actors. So it's a really fun play for actors as well as audience. I think this. Going back to what Alan was saying about Paulina getting her comeuppance, I mean, if there is a wedding at the end of this play, I'm kind of hoping Angellina just gets to go off to her convent in peace and quiet. But if there is a wedding, I'd really like Paulina to end up married to like either Piperolo or like one of the bandits. That would be great. She could go off and all of the bandits. She could go off and become a bandit queen, and that could be the next play. But yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, who knows? Probably it's going to end with a couple of really unsatisfying marriages, and I'm going to be like, oh, for crying out loud, here we go. But so far, at least, I am really enjoying it, and I think it's got a lot of potential.
At least I think differences to other plays with disappointing marriages. I don't think any of the suitors are awful people who really should just be thrown into the sea in the way that we have with a lot of other plays. Yes, it would be a generic ending, but I don't think it would be a what the hell is wrong with you kind of problem at the end of the play. But we shall see. There is still time. And on that note, we are going to be closing this session. You can always join us. These sessions are open to all. You can sign up. There are forms on our website, beyondshakespeare.org. You too can join us online and increasingly in the real world as more and more things happen that we get up and out there. All that remains is to thank all these wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Shall we despair to reach her golden apples?